Genesis chapter 8, verse 17. In the prior two verses, we saw Noah and his family leave the ark, but they're not alone. Let's take a look at the animals that come with them. So we're just continuing here. Okay, Panta ta theria, hasa estin metasu. Kai pasa sarx apo patenon, heos katenon. Okay, pan herpaton kenumenon epites geis. And then we'll finish up here in just a second. So in addition to Noah, his three sons, his wife, and the wives of those three sons, we have, in addition with the Kai here, Panta all of the Theria. And that's from Therion. These are going to be sort of the wild animals, if you will, or sometimes translated beasts. So all the beasts are wild animals. And then we have kind of a little parenthetical, Hasa, that's from Hasas, so as much as, and then your verb estin. Notice it's a singular verb, even though it's a plural sort of referent. That's pretty common, especially when it's neuter. So as many as are, you would translate that, not is. Metasu, with you, that is Noah. Notice the singular there. So Noah here is still kind of this benevolent representative, not only of his family, but also these animals that he has protected on the ark. So as many as are with you. And then we're going to elaborate on a few more categories. Kai pasa, so notice we got more pas here, pasa sarx, all flesh or living creature, something like that. And then we're going to say from the birds. Patenon there is bird, or patenon is the singular, so birds, but it's plural here. From the birds, heos, until or to the katenos, katenon, that's from katenos. These would be the domesticated animals. That might be cattle, that kind of thing, livestock. So we got the beasts and then all of the flesh kind of creatures, from the birds to the domesticated animals, and then and all, so you get another pas. You see three of those. Herpaton, this is going to be sort of like reptiles, creepy crawlers, these are sort of animals that are low to the ground. And we have a little modifying participle here. It's going to be accusative, singular, neuter, present middle participle from kineo. And we've seen that verb before. It means to move, to crawl around, that kind of thing. So it's every crawler that's moving, something like that, epites geis, upon the earth. So all the wild beasts, from the birds to the domesticated animals, and all the little smaller creatures that are crawling or moving upon the earth. Now, these are some of the categories that we've already seen previously. Not necessarily in this order. The order can be a little bit variable, but we've seen this like in Genesis 7:14 and some other situations. Those are the categories that not only go on the ark, but those that are left that aren't in the sort of either pairs or the sevens of clean animals, they are also being destroyed. So we've seen these kinds of words before. Let's continue on, though, and see what happens to finish out the verse. Exagage meta sealtu, kai auxaneste, kai plethuneste epites geis. So there's nice three verbs here. First one is from ex ago. This is a second singular aorist active imperative. Once again, you have that lue ending there, but it's an aorist form of ago. Ago reduplicates in the aorist, which is a little bit weird. And that means to bring out. And so Noah here, because again, it's second singular, he is bringing out with himself. Notice that use of healtu, but it's in the second person form. So bring out with you all of those animals that we just talked about. And then now God gives a command, and auxaneste. That's from auxano, second plural now. Notice the est ending is a present middle imperative, although some might parse it as a passive. I would parse it as a middle. And that means to increase, to grow. So y'all, that is Noah, his family, and apparently the animals, increase, grow, become more, if you will, and plethuneste, same morphology, second plural, present middle imperative again from plethunu. That means to multiply. So these are obviously synonyms here. So, and multiply, y'all, all of y'all, upon the earth. Now, this is quite interesting. We're going to come back to this here in verse 9:1. But if you look this up in the Masoretic, both of these two verbs, where we have y'all increase and y'all multiply upon the earth, addressing Noah and his family and all the animals, is actually a third plural as opposed to a second plural. And it's not really a command, although you could argue that it's like a future. It depends on how you want to take the morphology there and how you want to interpret it, really. The morphology is clear. And so you can maybe say it's a you will, or excuse me, they will or they shall. It really has an imperatival force, even though it's not morphologically an imperative like these are. So they shall or they will increase and multiply. And it appears that that's, in the Masoretic at least, referring to the animals. In 9:1, and this is going to be true both in the Masoretic and in the Old Greek, it's more directly addressed to Noah. It's really a repeat of the creation or dominion mandate. And so it's really quite interesting. I'm not sure how to explain that here in this situation where the translator actually takes a third plural addressing the animals and actually makes it more Noahic, if you will. Could be a different source text. My sense is it's probably some sort of interpretive move there. So that's kind of interesting. Hold that thought, though. In a few videos, we'll come back to 9:1, where we're going to see this exact same language. These verbs show up again, but it's more clearly referring to Noah as, in a sense, a kind of new Adam, whereas you have a little bit of a difference here between the Masoretic and the Greek text. So kind of interesting stuff, but we'll come back to it more. Genesis 8:17, though. Thanks for watching.